Sabbath 30, Torah portion Behar Sinai, which means on Mount Sinai in Hebrew, from the priestly order, Division 16, Immer. From the Torah, we have Leviticus chapter 25, verse 1 through chapter 26, verse 2.
Yahweh then spoke to Moses at Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them, When you come into the land which I am giving to you, then the land shall have a Sabbath to Yahweh. 6 years you shall sow your field, and 6 years you shall prune your vineyard and gather in its produce. But during the 7th year the land shall have a Sabbath rest, a Sabbath to Yahweh. You shall not sow your field nor prune your vineyard. What grows of its own accord from your harvest you shall not reap, and your grapes of untrimmed vines you shall not gather. The land shall have a sabbatical year. And the Sabbath produce of the land shall be for food, for you and your male and female slaves, and your hired man and your foreign resident, those who sojourn with you. Even your cattle and the beasts that are in your land shall have all its produce to eat. You are also to count off 7 Sabbaths of years for yourself, 7 times 7 years, so that you have the time of the 7 Sabbaths of years, namely, 49 years. You shall then sound a ram's horn abroad on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the day of atonement you shall sound a horn all through your land. You shall thus set apart as holy the 50th year and proclaim a release through the land to all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, and each of you shall return to his own possession of land, and each of you shall return to his family. You shall have the 50th year as a jubilee. You shall not sow, you shall not reap what grows of its own accord, you shall not gather in from its untrimmed vines. For it is a jubilee, it shall be holy to you. You shall eat its produce out of the field. On this year of jubilee, each of you shall return to his own possession of land. If you make a sale, moreover, to your companion or buy from your friend's hand, you shall not mistreat one another. Corresponding to the number of years after the Jubilee, you shall buy from your companion. He is to sell to you according to the number of years of produce. In proportion to the extent of the years you shall increase its price, and in proportion to the fewness of the years you shall diminish its price, for it is the number of crops it produces that he is selling to you. So you shall not mistreat one another, but you shall fear your God, for I am Yahweh your God. You shall thus observe my statutes and keep my judgments, so as to do them, that you may live securely on the land. Then the land will yield its fruit, so that you can eat your fill and live securely on it. But if you say, What are we going to eat on the 7th year, if we do not sow or gather in our produce, then I will command my blessing for you in the 6th year, that it will bring forth the produce for 3 years. So you shall sow the 8th year and eat old things from that produce, eating the old until the 9th year when its produce comes in. The land, moreover, shall not be sold permanently, for the land is mine, for you are but sojourners and foreign residents with me. Thus for every piece of land of your possession, you shall provide for the redemption of the land. If a brother of yours becomes so poor he has to sell part of his possession of land, then his nearest kinsman redeemer is to come and redeem what his brother has sold. Or in case a man has no kinsman redeemer, but recovers his means and finds sufficient payment for its redemption, then he shall calculate the years since its sale and return the balance to the man to whom he sold it, and so return to his possession of land. But if he has not found sufficient means to return it to himself, then what he has sold shall remain in the hands of its purchaser until the year of Jubilee, but at the Jubilee it shall revert, that he may return to his possession of land. Likewise, if a man sells a house for habitation in a walled city, then his redemption right remains valid until a full year from its sale. His right of redemption lasts a full year. But if it is not redeemed for him within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city passes permanently to its purchaser throughout his generations. It does not revert in the Jubilee. The houses of the villages, however, which have no surrounding wall, shall be considered as open fields. They have redemption rights and revert in the Jubilee. As for cities of the Levites have a permanent right of redemption for the houses of the cities which are their possession. What, therefore, belongs to the Levites may be redeemed, and a house sale in the city of their possession reverts in the Jubilee, for the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the sons of Israel. But pasture fields of their cities shall not be sold, for that is their perpetual possession. Now if a brother of yours becomes poor and his means with regard to you falter, then you are to sustain him, like a sojourner or a foreign resident, that he may live with you. Do not take usurious interest from him, but fear your God, that your brother may live with you. You shall not give him your silver at interest nor your food for gain. I am Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan and to be your God. If a brother of yours becomes so poor with regard to you that he sells himself to you, you shall not subject him to a slave service. He shall be with you as a hired man, as if he were a foreign resident. He shall serve with you until the year of Jubilee. He shall then go out from you, he and his sons with him, and shall return to his family, that he may return to the possession of the land of his fathers. For they are my slaves whom I brought out from the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold in a slave sale. You shall not have dominion over him with brutality, but you shall fear your God. As for your male and female slaves whom you may have, you may acquire male and female slaves from the nations that are around you. And also you may acquire from the sons of the foreign residents who sojourn among you, from them and their families who are with you. As for those whom they have begotten in your land, they also may become your possession. You may even give them as an inheritance to your sons after you, to receive as a possession. You can use them as permanent slaves. But in respect to your brothers, the sons of Israel, you shall not have dominion over one another with brutality. Now if the means of a sojourner or of a foreign resident with you becomes sufficient, and a brother of yours becomes so poor with regard to him as to sell himself to a sojourner who resides with you or to the descendants of a sojourner's family, then he shall have redemption right after he has been sold. One of his brothers may redeem him, or his uncle's son may redeem him, or one of his blood relatives from his family may redeem him, or if he prospers, he may redeem himself. He then with his purchasers shall calculate from the year when he sold himself to him up to the year of Jubilee, and the price of his sale shall correspond to the number of years. It is like the days of a hired man that he shall be with him. If there are still many years, he shall return part of his purchase price in proportion to them for his own redemption, and if few years remain until the year of Jubilee, he shall so calculate with him. In proportion to his years he shall return the amount for his redemption. Like a man hired year by year, he shall be with him. He shall not have dominion over him with brutality in your sight. Even if he is not redeemed by these means, he shall still go out in the year of Jubilee, he and his sons with him. For the sons of Israel are my slaves, they are my slaves whom I brought out from the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your God. You shall not make for yourselves idols, nor shall you set up for yourselves a graven image or a sacred pillar, nor shall you place a carved stone in your land to bow down to it, for I am Yahweh your God. You shall keep my Sabbaths and fear my sanctuary. I am Yahweh.
From the prophet portion, we have Prophet Jeremiah, chapter 32, verses 6 through 27. And Jeremiah said, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Behold, Hanamel the son of Shallum your uncle is coming to you, saying, Buy for yourself my field which is at Anathoth, for you have the legal judgment for redemption to buy it. And Hanamel my uncle's son came to me in the court of the guard according to the word of Yahweh, and said to me, Buy my field, please, that is at Anathoth, which is in the land of Benjamin, for you have the legal judgment for possession, and the redemption is yours. Buy it for yourself. Then I knew that this was the word of Yahweh. I bought the field which was at Anathoth from Hanamel my uncle's son, and I weighed out the silver for him, 17 shekels of silver. And I signed and sealed the deed and called in witnesses and weighed out the silver on the scales. Then I took the deeds of purchase, both the sealed copy containing the commandment and statutes, and the open copy. And I gave the deed of purchase to Baruch the son of Neriah, the son of Messiah, in the sight of Hanamel my uncle's son, and in the sight of the witnesses who signed the deed of purchase, in the sight of all the Jews who were sitting in the court of the guard. And I commanded Baruch in their sight, saying, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Take these deeds, this deed of purchase, that is in the sealed one, as well as this open deed, and put them in an earthenware jar, that that they may last a long time. For thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, houses and fields and vineyards will again be bought in this land. After I had given the deeds of purchase to Baruch the son of Neriah, then I prayed to Yahweh, saying, Ah, Lord Yahweh, behold, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and by your outstretched arm. Nothing is too difficult for you, who shows loving kindness to thousands, but repays the iniquity of fathers into the bosom of their children after them. O great and mighty Elohim, Yahweh of hosts is his name, great in counsel and abundant in deeds, whose eyes are open to all the ways of the sons of men, giving to everyone according to his ways, and according to the fruit of his deeds. Who has set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, and even to this day both in Israel and among mankind. And you have made a name for yourself, as at this day. You brought your people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and with wonders, and with a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, and with great terror, and gave them this land which you swore to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. They came in and took possession of it, but they did not listen to your voice, and did not walk in your ways, or your law. They have not done anything that you have commanded them to do. Therefore you have made all this harmful evil come upon them. Behold, the siege ramps have come to the city to capture it, and the city is given into the hand of the Chaldeans who fight against it, because of the sword, the famine, and the pestilence. And what you have spoken has happened, and behold, you see it. And you have said to me, O Lord Yahweh, buy for yourself the field with money and call in witnesses. But the city is given into the hand of the Chaldeans. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah, saying, Behold, I am Yahweh, the Elohim of all flesh. Is anything too difficult for me? From the Renewed Covenant, we have the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, 1 through 13. The believer's rest. Therefore, let us fear, lest while a promise remains of entering his rest, any one of you may seem to have fallen short of it. For indeed we have good news proclaimed to us, just as they also. But the word that was heard did not profit those who were not united with faith among those who heard. For we who have believed entered that rest, just as he has said, As I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Although his works were finished from the foundation of the world, for he has spoken somewhere in this way concerning the seventh day. And Elohim rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again in this passage, they shall not enter my rest. Therefore, since it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly had good news proclaimed to them failed to enter because of disobedience, he again determines a certain day, today, saying through David after so long a time, just as it has been said before, Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. For if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have spoken of another day after that. So there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of Elohim. For the one who has entered his rest has himself also rested from his works, as Elohim did from his. Therefore let us be diligent to enter that rest, lest anyone fall into the same example of disobedience. For the word of Elohim is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, and piercing as far as the division of soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and the intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are uncovered and laid bare to the eyes of him to whom we have an account to give.